Now, the next speaker is the Central Depository of Uzbekistan, Sherali Abdujabarov, who is listed in the agenda, unfortunately cannot participate today, and Dilfuza will speak as a substitute. Hello, colleagues. It's a pleasure to see all of you. If you could speak louder or be close to the microphone. First of all, I would like to express our gratitude to the organizers. Unfortunately, Mr. Abdujabarov could not participate, but he communicates his regards. And this is our presentation. I hope you can see it now on the screen. Very briefly about the Central Securities Depository. It was established on the 21st of May 1999 by the order of the Cabinet of Ministers. We operate as the so-called state unitary institution founded by the State Assets Management Agency. Our regulator, as of today, is the Ministry of Finance. Our charter fund is 2.3 billion sums, about $200,000, and the headcount is 63 employees. All our operations as the depository, its main functions are specified in the law, in particular the law on securities. There are certain exclusive functions which only we can provide, including registration of securities. So any securities which are issued, that is not only corporate securities, are registered with the depository. As of today, about 596 joint stock companies are operating. Securities are ordinary shares and bonds. The market for government securities operates somewhat separately from the corporate securities market. This is a special feature of our capital market. We have been working with the market agencies, and we are including the substituting agency. We're now working on the establishment of the national registry. We are the only centralized registrar of shareholders. All the registries of shareholders must be held and maintained through us. Holders are investment intermediaries, owners of securities, and also that covers government securities, including the Agency for Asset Management, Government Asset Management, the Central Bank, the Ministry of Finance. As for our additional functions, that includes the registration of OTC transactions, last year we introduced a new service, which is electronic voting system, and that was very timely. It worked very well. In fact, the shareholders were very happy because they saw the events happening online, even without physically being present. They could vote remotely. Another function is consultation services. This is also a very popular service among the users. And this is a list of reforms that took place this year. And these are very important events on the capital market. And these were introduced by the edict by the president, and these are measures to reform the capital market regulation. The Capital Market Development Agency was established, and it is now instructed with the goal to develop its strategy. It's a very important document that it took some time to generate, and very recently in April this year, the program for capital market development was finally approved by the government. So now the securities market regulator is the finance ministry's department. There's a dedicated department in the Ministry of Finance. This was good for the progress of capital market because the finance ministry and the central bank together supervise the market for government securities. Now they're also covering the corporate market, corporate securities market. And this, we believe, is an important step forward for Uzbekistan. The program for capital market development extending through 2023 was improved, and the roadmap for implementation of the program was introduced. The list of enterprises whose shares are subject to public offering through the stock exchange was approved. That is about a list of 15 entities, which are the largest ones, which are to be privatized this year. Not this year, but in the period from 2021 to 2023. This is an arrangement that is about to change. The Minister of Finance is currently the regulator. The system includes the central depository. The settlement bank is not a national bank, it's a commercial bank, Uzbekistan. It's represented by 53 investment intermediaries. Trading organizers include the stock exchange Tashkent and Elsis Savdo platform, bringing together issuers and investors. But that was the previous arrangement. Now the roadmap. We liked very much how Helen demonstrated the jar, which was in a certain succession filled with valuable things. And probably we will use the same approach as we fill our jar with the most important functions and mechanisms first, adding some more afterwards, so that it would be fuller and fuller and improved consistently. And now we are in the process of putting in the larger stones to the market, capital market. These are the main parts of the roadmap, that is increasing the number of issues and growth of proposals by means of new financial products. As of today, the market is represented only by corporate bonds and securities. So we need to incentivize the development of new financial tools, including based on Islamic finance, approaches. So we need to identify which actions will be needed. The next point is improving, the development of capital market infrastructure. Most of that is centered around the central depository, which is the key infrastructure for the capital market. And there are many tasks that need to be implemented for the central depository. This is a very important point in the roadmap. In particular, the central depository will have an account opened for it in the central bank. So we will not only exercise securities settlements, we'll also maintain accounts. So an important foundation is being laid now for the depository to perform a full-fledged function or to serve the needs of those who need the funds. For that purpose, certain amendments must be prepared to the legislation and other steps must be made. In terms of technology, preparation was done this year, that is to move out of the arrangement with the substituting agency. Now we will move towards establishing direct correspondence relations with the centralized depositories, custodians, and major international players. Another big task is to build the mechanism for identification of customers. Now the government is about to make a decision on authorizing the depository to open depot accounts for other types of transactions. This is why we're looking closely at the way that this work is done in other countries. We need to accumulate as much information as possible, how the mechanism operates and how the law is established, how this is done technologically. Information and communication technologies also are part of this roadmap. We have already have a platform which brings together the depository and the stock exchange. As the next step, we will keep improving that platform so that we perform all the functions in a centralized way. Or maybe there will be additional modules to the traditional functions of the depository. Draft legislation on capital market is now being prepared to amend the joint stock companies law and the capital market law, which will soon be adopted, is a direct law that will describe all the mechanisms involved in securities transactions, corporate actions, dividend payment, so everything that makes us consistent with the international standards. The next point is expanding the investor base and improving financial literacy of the population. There are many questions which remain to be answered with respect to securities market. We need to establish the conditions for securities issuance and the foreign issuers entering our market. The government securities market will be developed as a system together with the Ministry of Finance. We will continue the process of centralization, and that will of our operations that will cover both government and corporate securities. And the final point in our roadmap is everything associated with training, additional and specialized training for capital market participants. And that is also be helped with the US Securities and Exchange Commission. So we are focused consistently on improving our capacity in dealing with the securities market and improving the capacities of the market players. This is our strategy. The central depository is facing a lot of tasks. This is why we decided to put it into a 3-year strategy plan, separating between the initial, midterm, and 3-year and final periods, and try to set certain milestones. So in the first phase, we will implement corporate governance functions in the central depository. We have only one owner, one founder now, but now we are planning to establish a supervisory board that will be made up of stakeholders, the organizations that are interested in developing this centralized depository. IFRS reporting practices are being introduced continuously. We also offer our customers personal user account. Also, e-voting was introduced last year. That is for shareholders meeting. Now we're extending this service to supervisory boards because this function is very much in demand as very convenient. We see that many companies are willing to use it. So this will be a service that will enable members to participate remotely. Next thing we planned for this year is to launch automated information system called ISIN, that is to respond to international inquiries. It will operate self-sufficiently. And another information system being introduced is AML KYC that will allow for identification, and it will be consistent with the digital depository concept, as every transaction will be channeled and classified and processed depending on its nature, be it depository or anything else. There are many technological changes that need to be implemented. Currently, our technical capacity is not sufficient, so the founder has set the task to increase the charter capital, and in the near future we expect to go public, to have shareholders, and the stakeholders include the central bank, the stock exchange and the commodity exchange. There will be financial intermediaries and commercial banks. In the next phase, now we've started to open centralized central bank accounts. In 2022, we'll have a bank information system enabling the transaction settlements. We will also connect to SWIFT. We'll first establish correspondent relations with our immediate neighbors, Russia and Kazakhstan, and later we will move out as well. Risk management system will be implemented next year, and the work will start with Thomas Murray. We are planning to have their rating established. Then in 2023, that is after the long debate with the Minister of Finance, we decided that we will implement the depository information system that will cover both corporate and government securities. This strategy is now drafted and now is in the process of being improved. We hope that all our plans will be put in practice. It's a big work. I would like to thank in advance all our colleagues. We keep asking you to share information with us. We are eager to learn how things work in your case, because we really want to become a good and sustainable company that will be capable of implementing all the relevant depository functions. Thank you for your kind attention. And now I can answer your questions. Well, thank you very much. Quite impressive changes that the Republic of Uzbekistan anticipates on the capital market. We're certainly eager to help you with all SCD resources and other marketplace, and we'll keep an eye on your progress. We don't have any questions yet. Once again, we have the Q&A section dedicated to that. I have one question to you. When you talked about your privatization program, and you mentioned, you did not mention whether you will allow international players to participate in privatization, or is it only limited to local residents? It will be agreed with the asset management agency, and it's still to be decided who will be allowed to participate in the privatization program. I hope that very soon this information will be available. First, they will come up with a list of assets to be privatized. Their assessment will be complete, and then terms and conditions of privatization will be identified. Thank you, Dilfuza. Thank you very much. It was very informative, and we will keep tracking the progress of Uzbekistan market.